The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today, Brad Warren. And Brad's the land banking specialist, helping patient investors build generational wealth by investing in land. Brad, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We talked a little bit before the show, and I did some due diligence on, kind of how it operates, and I'm really looking forward to sharing that with our audience. Why don't you go ahead and start? Let's talk about how you got started. I'm sure there's a story there somewhere. I don't remember being 6 years old saying, "Hey, I want to get into land banking." So let's hear about it.
Sure. I do a quarterly net worth statement. I started in March of 1989 when my wife and I were engaged and going to get married later that year. And on December 31st, 2011, I was 60 years old at the time. I looked at the numbers and realized that my wife could retire because she had a 401k at a very large company and had done very well. Mm-hmm. Together, we could pool our money and retire together. But if I was an individual on my own, I didn't have enough money saved up to retire. And I'm sure a lot of people with the pandemic and what's going on now, the Great Recession and now the little mini recession that we're in, or whatever they're calling it, are maybe experiencing something similar. So I called my land banking friend. Her name is Marcella Silva. She came over to our house in January of 2012, did her presentation at the kitchen table, just like a real estate agent who was trying to get the listing for the house would do, only she was telling us about land. And at the end, my wife goes, "No, thank you, not interested. I like my steady, slow investing. My 401k is fine." And she walked out of the room. And I turned to Marcella and I said, "The only way I'm going to have enough money to retire on in, say 8-10 years from now is to buy land. If it's going to do what you say it's going to do and I'm going to reap the benefits, then please get me a property." 2 months later, I had my first property. A year later, a second property. A year later, a third property. By the way, all that time, I was referring business to Marcella. I became what's called a finder. I was finding people, referring them to her, and I was getting a finder's fee. So I was making several $1,000s a year just referring business to her. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then my wife finally decides that she wants to learn more. So Marcella is speaking at a hotel. My wife comes with me the whole way in the car. Tim, she's going, "No, I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to buy any land. I just want to find out more."
Yeah.
Well, we get to the hotel. She listens to the presentation and she buys 2 properties right there in the hotel, whips out her checkbook, bought 2 right there. That was number 4 and 5. We now own 11, and it's about a third of our portfolio is invested in land. So that's kind of how I got started. Oh, and then I guess just to wrap it up, about 4.5 years ago, I actually got my real estate license, became a real estate agent, and went to work with Marcella as my business partner. So now she's not just my land banker, she's also my partner, my mentor, my coach, my very good friend. I was actually at her wedding. She married one of my best friends that I've known 24 years.
Wow.
And now she and I are working together, helping patient investors diversify their portfolios and build generational wealth.
Yeah, it is practically a family business now.
Yeah, my wife helps out a little bit. Her husband, Rick, is a referral coach, a masterful referral coach. And he is my coach, teaching me how to build a referral-based business, which is not what I did before. I was a business coach for 40 years.
Yeah.
And it was always lose a client, find a client, lose a client, find a client. Never really worked on referrals. And that was a major, major mistake that I hope your listeners never have to go through.
Yeah.
Referrals, in my opinion, are the way to go because they just keep coming and you don't have to work that hard.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that. I mean, referrals, that instant trust is there generally. I mean, birds of a feather, right, flock together. And so, have that instant trust, and they generally understand the process far more than the person just say off the street, so to speak. Because they have that affiliation to you, and whoever referred you has probably gone on and on about you. So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. What I found, to my surprise, but not any more surprise, is that the referrals that I got bought faster and bought more than the people that I was just meeting on my own because of the trust factor. It took a while to build trust with a person that I'd never met before. But when they came to me as a referral, they already had a friend who had invested several tens of thousands of dollars. They trusted that friend. Well, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. They trusted me because of the friend. That's called the trust bridge. The friend was the one that made that bridge to help speed up the process. So I love referrals. They really work.
Fantastic. Well, let's build a bridge. Let's build a bridge to land banking. What is land banking? So, explain to our audience what that entails and what it means, and how can we get set up and get retired?
Well, basically what land banking is buying land that is strategically placed in the path of growth, holding, and then exiting by selling to a developer who needs your land to build a big project.
Okay.
And when I say holding, we're very conservative. We tell people 7 to 10 years. This is not cash flow. This is not a flip. This is not get rich quick. This is buy and hold, set it and forget it, real estate investing, where you get the land extremely cheap through our company, and we have ways of finding it even cheaper than what we sell it to our investors for.
Right.
And then your job as an investor is just to be very patient, wait for the developer to come knock on your door. And did I mention we offer free negotiation coaching to all of our clients when they're contacted by the developer, because most likely the investor is not going to know what their land is really worth when that developer knocks on their door. We will know what it's worth, and will help the investor get that higher price from the developer.
Oh, that's fantastic, because really the negotiation is where the money is made, right? I mean, that's
absolutely.
And if you don't have that tool, you're probably setting yourself up for something. I don't know what that.
Well, you'll make you'll make a little, because they'll lowball. Let's say you bought 2 acres of what we call green real estate, which is land that will go to a solar farm, and you paid $50,000 for a couple acres. This is just a quick example. It may not be the actual numbers.
Yeah.
And Southern California Edison or PG&E or Garland Energy Company or one of the other 15 to 20 energy companies that are operating in California right now, they'll knock on your door and they'll say, "Hi, Tim, we see you bought this land 2 years ago for $50,000. We'll give you 60." Now, an inexperienced, unaware land investor might think, "Wow, I made 10 grand. That's 20% profit in the 2 years. That's not so bad. I'll take it." No. You would call me. I call the COO of our company. I give them all the information that you got from the energy company, like where's the land, how much they're offering, and all of that they gave you in writing, hopefully through an email or a letter. And the COO will give me questions to give to you to ask the energy company, like, what are you building there? A solar project. What's the name of it? How many acres? How many megawatts? When are you breaking ground? When does it go online? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which the investor may not know. Those are the questions to ask.
Yeah.
We'll give them to the investor for free to go back and negotiate with the energy company. And then all of a sudden the energy company scratches their head and goes, "Oh, this guy, Tim, he seems to know a little bit about this land. He's got some really good questions. We're not going to get it for 60. So now maybe they offer you 100.
Right.
Well, that's only double. We don't want you to go double. We want it triple or more before you exit. So this can go on for a year of negotiating, and we'll help you exit at somewhere between 3 and 7 times your return.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good.
3 to 7 times return on your investment.
On the investment. Yeah. Understood for sure. So, well, let's go to the beginning of that instead of the close where we're looking to sell. Where do we find properties? I mean, is this just like I got to go out and look for properties and then I come back to you, or what are our different deals?
Great question. So our company is an expert in research. We have an entire department that's called the Research and Acquisition Department. And all they do from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, is they try to find land. It's land within a 60-mile radius of downtown LA. And people say, is that the only place you invest in the United States? The answer is yes. There's 10 reasons why. We call them the 10 growth factors. I can't go into that in a short program like today. If people are interested, let them get a hold of me. But there's 10 growth factors all occurring at the same time within this 60-mile radius of downtown LA. And downtown LA, by the way, there's no more land. And even if you could get it, it's 4 to 7 million an acre, somewhere in that range, which is way out of line with our minimum 25,000. So we're kind of in the periphery, the edge of that circle, the 60-mile radius from downtown. That's where we're investing. We find land really, really cheap. We mark it up a little bit and sell it to the investors still below market. So there's already a little built-in profit right at the beginning. And then the investor holds it the 7 to 10 years to gain the legacy or generational wealth.
Wow, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, so really you've taken most of the legwork away, right? I mean, you've done the legwork, you've done the due diligence. At this point, it's just, the long-term investor mentality, be patient, and the buyer will come at some point. Now, when you say the long-term, the patient investor, and you give a window, that window, did you say that window was 7 to 12 years or something of that?
7 to 10 years is an average that we've noticed over the 43 years of the company doing it. And by the way, this company founded by the father, the son is now running the company. He's a PhD economist. He knows his stuff. He looks at micro trends. He looks at macro trends. I love that you said due diligence. Obviously, we can't remove 100% of the risk. That's impossible on any investment. Even a United States bond backed by the U.S. government, even that, who knows? If the U.S., we had an incident a couple of years ago, some of you may remember, where people wanted to, overthrow the government. I mean, who knows? So even the safest investment still has a little bit of risk in it, but we do as much due diligence as we possibly can. We actually call it the 16-point comprehensive analysis. Every piece of land that our research and acquisition department looks at has a checklist of 16 things that we ask about that land. And if it does not get 16 yes check marks, we don't touch it. We only buy 1 out of every 30 properties that we look at. And then that one is the one that becomes available to the investor.
Wow.
So much as we can.
Yeah.
We remove the risk to the highest possible degree that we can.
Fantastic. Let me ask you this. Is it possible? Are you only looking for individual investors, or could I get a group together? I mean, how does that work? Does it matter?
Great question. Sorry about that. But most of our clients buy the land themselves. Okay. Then they, of course, have the most control on the exit and the negotiating. However, you're allowed legally in the state of California, you can invest with up to 4 non-family members and 8 family members. So you can pool your money. That would be called a syndication by some people. But that's not our model. For $25,000, you can get 1 acre to 1.25 acres of non-residential agricultural land, which would be the green real estate that goes to the energy company. Or if you have, say, 3 other family members and you each want to put in 25 grand, now you can buy 100,000. You can probably get a couple of acres of residential, or possibly even a lower end industrial property, something at the lower end of the industrial range. So lots of different ways to do it. It's up to the individual depending on how much they have, what kind of land they want. Some people may not like solar. I don't know. They're maybe opposed to the concept of solar. So they want to get residential. Well, now you're going to talk maybe 75 to 100,000 is the minimum. You get into industrial, you're looking at 150 to 250 and so on up to mixed use at the very top, which could be 300, 400, 500,000 at a minimum for an acre.
Wow. So basically there's a different plan for every vertical of land usage, I guess. That's what it sounds like to me, Brad. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's amazing. That's an interesting model that I definitely eager to hear more about, for sure. Now, I did want to ask, I guess, tax implications at the end of the day. That might not be something we want to get into right now because I can always get soupy waters, right?
Yeah.
But you know, all of this is long term. And you know, are there any special tax implications I should be thinking about, or you tell me?
Great question. And disclaimer right up front, I am not legally allowed to give any kind of financial or tax advice. I will tell your listeners, consult with your CPA, your financial planner, whoever it is that you go to for advice on this. Here's what I can tell you. There will be capital gains on a piece of land, just like on any piece of real estate.
Right.
So depending on how you invest and whether you do a 1031 exchange, I'm sure your listeners, since they know a lot about real estate, probably know about that. That's one way to defer the tax, not avoid it, but just defer it. You can buy the land inside of a retirement fund. It has to be a self-directed IRA or a self-directed Roth IRA. Again, there are tax implications for each of those. Hopefully your investors know the Roth is tax-free on the gain. That's where out of my 11 properties that I own with my wife, 9 are in a Roth, 2 are in a regular SEP IRA. So we'll defer the taxes on the 2, but the other 9, bye-bye, Uncle Sam. You don't get anything. We sell that land. All of that gain is ours.
That's the best part of it. Yeah, that's the best part of it right there. Bye-bye, Uncle Sam, right?
That's why we like the Roth.
Yeah.
So again, we tell people, do your due diligence. In fact, just before coming on to record this with you, I was with a potential investor, 2 Canadians who are expatriates living in Mexico. And we started getting the tax, and I said, whoa, stop with the tax. I said, you got to talk to a Canadian tax expert about investing in the US when you're in Mexico. You know, where's the money? Which bank are you using? Where is it coming in pesos? Is it coming in Canadian dollars? You know, what's going on?
Maybe they're paying in loonies, you know, little coins with holes in them. Yeah, that conversation can get cloudy pretty quick. So, you know, you
get cloudy pretty quick, and I can't give advice. I'll lose my real estate license. So I will say no more other than consult, pay a couple $100 for an hour of their time, just so that you can avoid thousands of maybe taxes that could have been avoided or at least deferred to a later date. So you got to do the homework. We can't help you with that.
For sure. How could you know, Brad, if one of our listeners wanted to get in touch with you and, you know, find out some non-tax questions about land banking, how would they get in touch with you?
The easiest way, Tim, is via email. I respond within 24 hours, not instantaneously, but within 24 hours, I will get back to people. And it's just my name, Brad at bradwarren.com, BRADWARREN.com, Brad at bradwarren.com. You'll get an email back from me, and then we usually I set up a Zoom. I may ask you a couple questions in the email, but most often I just want to meet people first. You know, if this was non-COVID times, I'd be mostly working with people just in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I live. I used to go drive the car, you know, pollute, spend money on gas, take them out for lunch, get fat from all the calories I was eating. Now I do everything on Zoom. I stay home. I see a lot more people during the day, doing it via Zoom. I don't spend money on gas. I don't pollute. I'm not getting fat. In fact, I'm losing weight by staying home and eating my own cooking.
Not having those big meals. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Brad at bradwarren.com, get a hold of me. We'll set up a Zoom.
I love it. Fantastic. Well, we're getting to that time of show, Brad, where we're kind of winding down, and you know, I always say, you know, you're the hero of the show, and I'm just spinning records here like an old DJ. So why don't you take us out and you know, give us some words of wisdom here at the end about business, life, or whatever you feel compelled to tell our audience.
Oh my gosh. Since people can't see me, they may not know that I'm 71 years old, even though I act like a child a lot, says my wife. So there's quite a bit of stored knowledge and wisdom inside my head, but a couple of things come to mind. First of all, we tell people invest in land because they're not making any more of it.
Right.
Now, somebody argued with me, well, in Hawaii, they got volcanoes, they're making more land. Yeah, but I don't think you want to live on that land. Okay. So another piece of advice I tell people, you know, the best investment on earth is earth. Everything requires land. a parking lot, a house, a football stadium, an Amazon warehouse distribution center, a road, whatever. Everything is built on land. So you're buying a physical asset that we know is going to appreciate over time because of the way that we buy it and the way that we find it, the research that we do. So that would be another piece of advice is, don't wait, get it now, because the land is disappearing in that 60-mile radius circle. It's going fast. And as always, buy low, sell high.
There you go. That's the best advice right there.
That's the best advice, everybody. Buy low, sell high, no matter what you're doing.
That hadn't changed in thousands of years.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Well, Brad, thanks so much for being on the program. I look forward to checking in with you over the next 3, 6, 9 months, see how things are going, and see how the investments are going. Thank you so much for being on the show, Brad.
My pleasure. Take care.
Have a good one.